What's going on, everybody? It is Carlos here once again from PremierReviewer, and I finally got my hands on a sit-stand desk. Been looking at a couple for a while, just didn't want to pull the trigger. And before I actually did, the company over at Flexispot reached out to me, seeing if I wanted to take a look at this desk and see how it will work in my workflow. I have my main desk, which is right over here, which is where I do a lot of my editing. But when it comes to a lot of the graphic stuff that I do and some editing, I also do it on my Mac, which is why it's a perfect setup for that, because it's a little bit more portable and I don't have to have a lot of stuff on the desk in order to make it look good. Now, it's a multi-functional desk in my opinion, and that's the way I am using it, but we'll get to that in just a second. For now, let's talk about the build. So as you see, I did a time lapse of the actual build. For myself, I would say it took me about an hour to an hour and a half. I wasn't in a rush. I did a couple of things here and there, but for the most part, the instructions are really well put together. It can be a little daunting at first when you see so many things laid out, but if you just take your time, you really can get this all done by yourself with no one's help, more or less. The motor itself is very quiet. We'll get to that in a second, but for the most part, it just functions really well. It's a standard, what I would call a standard sit-stand desk. If you've seen a bunch of videos on different kinds, this follows that similar format, except for I would say that it comes in a few different varieties. So on their website, they actually show where they have a couple of different varieties. You can choose different leg colors, you can choose different tabletops, and also the length of the actual tabletop. The one behind me right now is about 55 inches and it works phenomenal. And if you're looking at the actual overhead setup, that is an additional thing not sold by them. That's something that I actually made a video, which I'll leave linked down below, and it's a great way to get an overhead setup. And because I said it's multifunctional for myself, it's one way I was able to get the most out of the sit-stand desk. Now, to go to the programming aspect of it, it's really simple. It gives you two functions. So, cool thing about this is you have manual controls, which means if I wanted to go down, I can press the down button. Same thing if I want to go up, I can do the same thing. Now, if I wanted to program it to a certain thing, like I already have one programmed to about 28, so you'll see it dropped on its own, and simply you would just click. Let's say I dropped it all the way down, so the lowest setting is at 28. So if I wanted to keep it there, I would just have to hit M and then 1, and now it's set to 28. So, and then the tallest, I like to have it for myself. You can see it goes up to about 40.8 inches, and it obviously can go higher, but I don't really need it to go higher. This is kind of where I do my standing at. The other one is more for unboxings, but it's just a really good system, very quiet. I'm sure you couldn't even hear. And if we look, this is the motor right here, and here's the controller, as we already saw. And it's, for the most part, set up with holes to go exactly where the motor is. You can either have this on your right side or the left side, because it also has holes for this side as well. It's really intuitive. It's really great little desk, and I am really happy I've had a chance to use it, and it's been really nice to go with my workflow. I myself function between 3 different levels. I have one for when I'm standing up. I have another for when I'm sitting down, and one for when I'm trying to do some product shots and stuff like that. I can have it at different levels. But again, that's the cool thing about having it as a sit-stand desk. So if you have a chair that's really low to the ground, you can obviously use it with this setup because it actually goes below 30 inches. And because of that, there's a lot more functionality with it. There's not too much to say. It's a sit-stand desk. It holds about, I want to say, 225 to 250 pounds. I'm not going to put myself on it and levitate to see how much because I don't want to put the stress on it. I don't think it's that serious, but for the most part, it works great. The only problem would be cable management. And in my situation, I was able to pick up a little cable management kit, which I'll leave linked down below. So I thought about going to IKEA and picking up the famous Signum cable management system, which I do have on my other setup, but I wanted to try something else out. And I have to say that I'm pretty pleasantly surprised on how good that cable management comes in, and you get a ton of them. But that's not here or there. I still have plenty of work to do with my cable management. A lot of it has to do with getting the right length cables, but once you do that, you know, you can make your setup look really, really good. They also sell some mounting arm, which I have one right there. But again, cable management is not great on my desk right now, only because I don't have the right length cables. And that's really what cable management is all about. But overall, I think it's a fantastic option if you're looking to get it. It's not priced too low, which means it's not cheap, but it's also not priced out of most people's budgets. I believe on Amazon that it fluctuates just under $400, but if you go onto their website, you can get it for under $350 depending on the setup you get. Again, they have a couple of different options when it comes to tabletops and leg colors. So until you guys see me in my next video, hopefully you like this. If this helped you out, make sure you leave a thumbs up. If it didn't, leave a thumbs down. But until next time, guys, I will see you around. Peace.